What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of At Large Bid here on the 48 Minutes Basketball Network, your NCAA podcast. We had the week off last week, so we're back here this week, and obviously a lot to talk about. Talk about some insane shit going on in college basketball. I'm Tim Daniel, excited to be here with our guy, T-Bird, TB, Mr. Taylor Bergfeld. How are you, my man?
I'm good. I was good last week. North Carolina took care of business. Bengals won a playoff game, first time in 31 years.
Yeah, man.
And then last night happened where Carolina got the doors blown off of them by Miami. So vibes are not as high as they were last couple of days, but we're still riding the Houday train. So that's where I'm at.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I got that. I got the Chicago Bulls, who I know are on a slump, but I'm not worried about them. They've been without everybody. Xavier basketball has played really well. So I'm having fun in sports for once in my life, and I don't want it to come down crashing anytime soon. So, you mentioned North Carolina, obviously. Let's kind of jump to it to start the show. The ACC obviously is down this year. It's might be the worst regular season ACC year I remember in a long time.
Yeah,
you go through, and we can talk about just about every team in that circumstance. So, Duke, I know they're 14-3. They just lost Florida State. They just lost Trevor Keels. You look at Virginia Tech right now, who is the second best team in the conference on KenPom at 9-7. North Carolina, they're 12-5 right now. Obviously had a rough loss last night. Wake Forest, Florida State is, horrid to watch offensively, but somehow always finds a way to beat Duke.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they do. And then the biggest story, maybe, of the ACC right now, besides the Miami Hurricanes playing fairly well, is probably what's going on in Louisville with Chris Mack and crew. You're starting to see just some cracks in the foundation, I guess you can call it, if there is a foundation at this point. The struggles are obviously very vivid. This is a team that's not only losing, but they're losing games pretty bad. They just lost to Pitt the other night. Mm-hmm. Maybe Chris was watching the Bengals game on his phone because he's a big Bengals fan. I don't know, during the game. But it sounds like that's kind of getting closer and closer to being the end there, unfortunately for him. They do have a game Saturday against Notre Dame. They're 103rd on KenPom right now.
It's bad, dude. It is bad. Their offensive identity is impossible to figure out. They have good players. Noah Locke, Jared West, Matt Cross, Dre Davis are guys that, I would take on any team. But it's high ball screens. It's clumpiness in the corners. It's a lot of looking back at Coach Mack, asking what to do rather than just kind of playing a feel for the game, kind of getting into a flow. You hit it right on the head. It panic level should be out. The button should be pressed if you're a Louisville fan, just because 3 losses in a row to Florida State, at home to NC State, which is a bad loss by 16. Then they lose by 12 at Pitt, only scoring 53 points. They do play tonight against Boston College, or tomorrow or yesterday when you're listening to this, but kind of a get right spot. But yeah, man, 10-7, 4-3 in the conference on a bad ACC is a team that that should be, upper echelon of the ACC with North Carolina, with Duke, with Florida State, but really kind of that disconnect this year. I don't know if this is the end-all be-all for Chris this year. They do have a new AD coming in after the guy, what's his name, Tom Zurich or something like that. Or Vince Tyra, sorry. He ended up leaving. But so you don't know if they're wanting to potentially clean house, but it hasn't been all, sunshine and daisies for Chris Mack. It's his best year was 2020. And then,
that team was really good.
Tournament gets canceled. So it's kind of hard to use that token still, especially after last year missing the tournament. So I don't know. I don't know where you go. Louisville fans are kind of all over the place. They seem to be at a disarray with their football and their basketball program. So hopefully we get some stability there, because I think the conference is better and basketball is better when Louisville is an upper echelon team.
Yeah, I agree. They are. So yeah, like you said, they got Boston College tonight, and they are hosting Notre Dame on Saturday, who I don't know if you'll be watching or not. Notre Dame Fighting Irish might have Virginia Tech game.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame's good. Lewinsky, they have a good team. Mike Bray's a good coach, and we talked about it on our preview pod, and in our mid-year check-in we did that. Unfortunately, he's not a guy that's going to get a lot of one-and-dones. Albeit this year we might have one, but he really thrives in the junior and senior-led category. But when you miss on some of those prospects that you need to rely on, it makes it hard to.
Indiana.
Correct. it makes it really hard to rely or to, keep the train moving essentially, and compound those mistakes by you're gonna have mistakes from guys who aren't very good, unfortunately. I do like this team a lot. Blake Wesley is unbelievable. I mean,
so
I think if he shot a little bit higher from three, he'd be a lottery pick. I think his size, I think his ability to move with the ball, I think his decision making is really good. He's shooting 31% this year from three, which isn't terrible by any means, but obviously you want to creep up on that category to kind of solidify your draft status. I like him. Good size, 6'5" point guard. And it kind of really switched once they gave him the keys to they set Prentice Hubs and they gave Wesley the ball, and good things started to happen. They have some good wins. They got Carolina. They beat Kentucky. They lost Indiana. So they're going to need to compound with some more wins. Maybe a Duke, maybe I don't really know. ACC doesn't really have a lot of opportunities, but there are two.
Howard's not a good win. You only.
I get why you play him because
absolutely, it's an awesome thing.
Mm-hmm. MLK Day, blatantly, a guy who played at Duke, was recruited under Mike Bray. Like, it makes a lot of sense, checks a lot of boxes. But yeah, you're going to need to make a run here in the ACC and finish in the top 6. And I don't know if those opportunities are good enough to get you an at-large. So there are two more teams I want to talk on the ACC. Yeah. One being Duke. Losing Trevor Keels. It seems like he's going to be fine. But I think their best 5 is Keels, Griffin, Paolo, Williams, and what am I forgetting? I don't know. Keels, Mark Williams, Trevor, Keels, Mark Williams, Adrian Griffin, Paolo, Mark Williams. Okay, that's 5. Duh. So moving Jeremy Roach to the backup role, backup point guard, and allowing Keels to be your kind of drive and dish guy, as well as take smaller guys to the basket, is a thing that Duke does really well. I was surprised. I picked Duke last night in my betting picks. Not only because, I think they're very talented and the best team in the ACC, but what Florida State does is they give you a no middle and they force you to do isolation ball out on the wings, and I think that is kind of right up Duke's alley. The motion offense they run it thrives for Paolo, thrives for Griffin, thrives for Trevor to take guys off the dribble, one-on-one matchups where they have the athleticism, they have the better ball handler, they have pretty much the better player on every aspect, and that's kind of where they thrive in the offensive end. But my negative spin on that is kind of where Duke is at offensively now. You look at last night, Paolo Banchero didn't have a shot attempt until 4 minutes left in the second half. He was 3 for 4 in the first half and didn't have his next shot attempt until the second half, late in the second half. He had a play where he caught it on the wing, jab stepped twice, drove in the lane, threw something off the rim, got the rebound, and dunked it. And that's great, but that cannot be your offensive identity. You have to get Paolo in spots to succeed. You got to get him at the elbow line or at the elbow to get free throw level jumpers. You have to get him off the ball. I think he's too talented of a player to be just kind of floating out there on the wing like he has been. But this isn't really coming as a shock. A lot of Duke fans will say this too. You look at the game yesterday against Florida State, and then you watch the game where Duke played at Wake Forest when Coach K didn't coach and John Shire did. 2 completely different teams. And the team that looked better was a team when Coach K wasn't coaching. So good news for Duke fans in the future. Coach K is known to kind of like a Roy Williams, where when the game gets going, doesn't really make any adjustments and kind of rides with what he has, which is fine. And he deserves that because he is the greatest college coach of all time. But adjustments is the name of the game. And I think Shire's done a good job of making that so far. So we'll see. I still don't think it's time to panic if you're a Duke team. Duke fan, they always lose on the road. They're a young team, kind of way it is. They play Saturday against Syracuse, and they're going to just absolutely demolish that 2-3 zone. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of their schedule, and I think the best chance they even have to lose, again, is probably one of the 2 North Carolina games. Just because of what it is. But, right,
they're not losing.
Syracuse, Clemson, Louisville, Boston College, Pittsburgh. They're probably there's a good chance they could probably win out. So there's that. But I think they're 9th in the country in offensive efficiency, 22nd in defense. Probably one of the handful of teams you can say, I could see them winning it all.
If you need some reminder, go back and watch the extended highlights of the Gonzaga game. That is the team that Gonzaga wanted to run and play an NBA style game, and Duke was like, absolutely, we'll take that to the bank, and they did, and they played really well that game. It's just some of these games where they slow the possessions down and make you value the ball or take away the thing that you want to do best. It's kind of where Duke struggles, but like you said, I can see them running the table in the ACC and winning their first ACC regular season title since 2010. Crazy to say that out loud.
Weird stat.
Mm-hmm. Coach K always wins the ACC tournament, but never wins the ACC regular season, which is kind of weird with the talent.
It's like the polar opposite of Calipari, where Calipari cares about winning the regular season, but not the conference tournament.
Right, because it doesn't matter. But lastly, the last team I want to touch on in the terrible ACC, we spent 10 minutes on it already, and that might be 10 minutes too long. It is the team that's in first place, team that throttled North Carolina last night, would be the Miami Hurricanes. A team that was voted, all about the U, shout out Danny Boy Kane, but picked to finish 12th in the preseason, and now in first place, come January 19th. I really like this team. Cam McGusty, Isaiah Wong, Charlie Moore, they have guards that can play and they can score at all three levels. Isaiah Wong is a great, tough shot maker, similar to Kyrie, where it's off balance, falling left or right. He just puts the ball in the basket in ways that you're just kind of leave you stunned when you're on the defensive end. But, got to win at Cameron, beat North Carolina at home in a down ACC. I think they're playing themselves right into an ACC or an at-large spot. I think they're a dangerous team. I don't know, albeit not a Final Four, Elite Eight team, but good guards, and a lot of people have thought their three-point shooting percentages would have gone down. It was an anomaly. But they're shooting 45% over the last 8 games. So we're starting to see that, they're going to make open shots, and I think their guards are good enough to win them a couple games in the tournament. So,
yeah, they can't defend for shit, but they can score. Man, they can score. They're 19th in the country in offensive efficiency. They really hold on to the ball. I mean, they do not turn the ball over, and that's really impressive.
Yeah.
So you said they just beat North Carolina. They got Florida State coming up. They got Notre Dame in a couple weeks on the February 2nd.
Yep.
And so, yeah, they got a pretty good schedule coming up. They got the one game against Duke. They won. Charlie Moore, who played at Kansas and DePaul. I cannot believe he's still playing college basketball. That's crazy. Also in Cal. Don't forget, he was also at Cal for a year.
Wow. Yeah. What a 4-year career for that guy. I was on the hot. I said this year that Larinaga was going to get fired, and
we did say that.
What do I know? Or what do we know? I think there's something about him I don't like. He's always just beat the shit out of North Carolina. It's because Roy is stubborn and Hubert's stubborn, and they compound the same mistakes over and over. And Larinaga's like, if you can't defend a high ball screen, I'm going to put Armando Bacot in the ball screen every possession, and that's what they did. And unfortunately, Carolina didn't adjust and didn't learn from it, but. I'm thinking back to some of his best teams when they had Shane Larkin. They were unbelievable. Yeah. They won the ACC tournament against Carolina. They, won outright. But I think this is a good resurface here for Miami because they lost a lot of guys, Matt Cross, Earl Timberlake, guys that are going to different teams and struggling now. So maybe they –
Earl Timberlake wished he was still there.
Right. And, they added – Isaiah Wong is one of my favorite players in the ACC. So it's good to see the U being back in some sort. I don't hate them as much as I do their football program. So I have no really take on them.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I like them. I think they score a lot and they're fun to watch. But I think we might be able to get 10 points on them.
Right, that's fair.
So obviously, there's a big game this weekend we got to talk about, and I know both teams play before then, but we will have a show before then. So obviously, Kentucky plays at Auburn. Kentucky plays tonight against Texas A&M, who's pretty damn good.
See. This is where we're different. I'm thinking about this. I don't know if they're that good. I'm pulling them up on KenPom right now. A&M has played nobody. They've lost to TCU in Wisconsin in the first round of the Maui out in Vegas. But in the SEC, they played Georgia, Arkansas, which 86-81 victory over Arkansas at home. That's a good win. Ole Miss, who just got throttled by 25 by Missouri last night, and Missouri themselves. So I'm kind of pumping the brakes on the Texas A&M being back trained. I think they're decent. I just don't know how they're going to defend Oscar tonight. The line's 7.5. The rat line, a lot of people are taking A&M because Kentucky's in a look-ahead spot to Saturday against Auburn. But I don't know if I'm fully believing in Buzz Williams yet. I think he's a good coach, but I think it's a couple more years till he gets his guys really going at A&M. But back to Kentucky, yes, they big game Saturday. Kentucky has been rolling. They scored 107 points on the number 2 defense in Tennessee. Oscar Tshiebwe's phenomenal. Kellen Grady, Ty Washington. This team is hitting their stride where we said preseason that they have aspirations to win it all, and I think they can. I mean, they're showing you that, if you want to play slow, we can play slow. If you want to run a gun with us, you're not going to outscore us. I think Oscar is SEC Player of the Year. I think Ty is SEC Freshman of the Year. I think Calipari's kind of in a revenge FU tour. and hopefully this a win Saturday would kind of put his mark on, hey, I'm back, I'm the king. But kind of shifting gears here with we've talked about Auburn a bunch, just ad nauseum on how impressed we've been. I mean, what do you think about Saturday's matchup? What do you think the spread will be? What do you kind of think?
It is an elite offense versus an elite defense, and so it is going to be the ultimate game of chess. So I'm pretty stoked for it. Kentucky has the bodies to really play with Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith, so that makes it fun. I do like Kentucky's guard game just a little more. Obviously, Ty's, just an awesome playmaker, very skilled. So it's really an awesome matchup. I think both teams roll through tonight. I think they beat, Kentucky beats Texas A&M, and obviously we all think Auburn beats Georgia. I'm curious about if they could, if Kentucky can push the pace, because Auburn's also really good offensively too. So if it's a game of just possession after possession going back and forth, it's a blast. Everyone gets to enjoy it. And I think that could be Kentucky's advantage. I think they're slightly better offensively, though I think Auburn is like elite defense.
I think Severe Wheeler versus Wendell Green is going to be must-see TV. Both small guards that can kind of get in the spots that irritate defenders. Both can. Severe has shot better recently. Wendell Green is just absolutely lighting it up. Go back and watch the Alabama highlights to see how explosive he was that game. The biggest thing for me is Jabari Smith. He's the best player on the floor, which is crazy to say in a Kentucky game that they don't have the best player, but he is unbelievable. We talked about him ad nauseum this year, shooting 44% from three as a 6'10" forward is just Kevin Durant-like. Very excited for him. I'm with you. It's going to be a clash of styles. I think Bruce Pearl versus Cal, I don't think they particularly like each other.
It very much seems like they do not.
Right. Arena will be rocking 1 o'clock game. Appointment TV. I'm very excited. Number 5 in KenPom versus number 9. KenPom has it as a 78-75 victory for Auburn.
Yeah, I saw that. Here's the X factor for Auburn in this game. Katie Johnson. He's not shot the ball very well this year from 3. The Georgia transfer. By the way, can you imagine Georgia right now Georgia fans watching this game? I know they just won a football championship, but seeing friggin' Wheeler and Katie Johnson play against each other at high levels, I'm sure that's painful. But what kind of game, if they can get a big game from him, that's going to help them out so much. Like I said, like we talked about, Kentucky's guard play with Washington, Wheeler. You go down the list of all the guys they have plenty of guards. So it's really going to be up to like having someone else step up and really help in that case. Because Jabari Smith's going to get his. We know he is, obviously. So, but Oscar, how does Oscar factor in this game? What is Auburn trying to do to keep him off the board? Because no one's figured that out yet in the country. I really like this game. I'm really excited for it. I do think the spread's going to be Auburn. I'm going to say about 2.5, just because Kentucky's been on a roll. And I want to say I think Kentucky's going to win, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, that atmosphere is just going to be crazy. For some reason or another, they haven't always won down there. They've always seemed to struggle down there.
Kentucky's struggled on the road this year as it is. Think about it. They played
Notre Dame.
They played 3 road games. They beat Vanderbilt at Vandy 78-66 in a game that they really didn't pull away from Vandy until the end. They lost at LSU 65-60, and they lost at Notre Dame 66-62. So 1-3 or 1-2 in the road games this year, a hostile environment. I think tonight will be more telling on how they look going into Saturday. If they struggle tonight and can't put away a mediocre Texas A&M team, then that might tip your scales to leaning more towards Auburn on Saturday. So,
yeah, man, I totally agree. So I'm going to stick with the Tigers for now, but if Kentucky does pull the win off, I'm not necessarily going to be shocked.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's the thing. So this is like a crazy stretch for Kentucky coming up. So they have obviously tonight A&M. They have Auburn. They're home from Mississippi State on Tuesday, and then next Saturday they go to Kansas, and they're home for Vanderbilt, whatever. But then they go to Alabama. So it's like these next 5 games are. And if Kentucky somehow pulls off 6 of these 7, do you put them in the 1 seed?
No, because it'll be Gonzaga, Arizona, Auburn. I don't know if they go 2 from the SEC. If Duke wins the ACC regular season, they're going to give it to Duke. But you can control your own narrative. Yes, I'm with you. I think This is what I was talking about. This is when you play in a power conference, and I used to be used to it with North Carolina and the ACC when it was 2012 through 2018. It was a dominant conference where one seeds were out there wazoo. But yeah, you have the opportunity to play against yourselves. I mean, look, you're playing the 9th ranked team in Ken Palm, then 40, then 7, then 18, then 16, then 114, and 37. Like, it's a stretch where it's like, hey, these are Q1, Q2 victories that we're going to rack up and like only boost our resume upwards. I think at worst UK is a 3 seed this year, and that's being like, I don't see really a way that they're a 3 seed unless they kind of just really shit the bed against some of these teams. They do get the tough part is Alabama at Alabama and Auburn at Auburn are tough. You get Arkansas, you actually get Arkansas at home. You got Arkansas on the road too. You get LSU again, so another chance to bolster the resume again at home. But I'm very high on this Kentucky team. I think their guards are phenomenal. I just think Keon Brooks and Kellen Grady, I think they're so underrated for what they do for this team. So I'm excited to watch them tonight against A&M just to kind of see exactly if the road struggles continue or if they maybe found something after that Tennessee big win.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, I like it. So I want to touch on a couple on the OVC real quick. I know we don't spend much time in the OVC except for the inaugural season of at-large bid when I said, you guys should really check out this John Morant guy. I think he's going to be pretty good. Mm-hmm. And obviously he was. But, for the most part, this has been a pretty about a 2-team conference. But right now there's 2 teams there that are really, really good. One of them is Murray State, the Racers.
We'll go 3. We'll go 3. Moorhead, Murray, and Belmont.
Okay. Yeah. I did see Moorhead play in person this year. So, so Murray, led by Coach Matt McMahon. They've got, they lost to Auburn, but they've got some really good wins this year. They beat Memphis. They beat Chattanooga. They beat Belmont, who they're going to play again.
Smoked Belmont, 82-60.
And smoked Eastern Illinois, who is not very good. But yeah, so you're looking at this group, guys like KJ Williams, Tevin Brown, Justice Hill, Carter Collins, Trey Hannibal. It's a really good Murray State team. So what do you kind of take away from this team? Obviously it's your stereotypical, you don't want to see this team in March kind of thing, but how good do you feel this team really is?
I mean, yeah, their identity, people keep sleeping on these mid-major teams. If this team had Florida State on their jersey or Clemson or Arkansas, we'd be talking like, wow, this team is really legit. I think what they do offensively, they shoot 54% from the field every game. They shoot 40% from 3. They're 38% from 3. That's 15th best in the country. And teams shoot 31% against them on getting 3. So, they play really good defense. Their guards are elite. They're a senior-led team. They know how to win. They've won in hostile environments at Memphis. They lost by 13 at Auburn, but, Auburn's a wagon. We've talked about them. I think appointment television is Belmont and Murray State. Look at Murray State, a team that, beat Louisville in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. They beat Marquette as a 12 seed they were a 12 seed and they almost beat Gonzaga.
Triple-double.
Yeah, I think they're just a strong team. I think we should downplay the mid-majors. I think if anything that shows you, look at Loyola Chicago, look at Nevada a couple years back. There are teams that can make runs and the trends are there, so you should start paying attention to it. I love Casey Alexander at Belmont, kind of switching gears here a little bit, but I think their offense is so fun. I think their motion offense that keeps everybody moving. All 5 guys can shoot, spread you out and attack it. That is a recipe for disaster for the NCAA tournament, especially if you're a team that cannot score. Just from watching Adam Kunkel there, a guy who's starring at X right now, who played at Belmont, he was phenomenal there. Just Dylan Windler, who plays for the Cavaliers, they put guys in the league. They run a great offense. I'm very excited for both these teams. It's something to watch. I love when conferences obviously we're getting closer to March, but when the conference tournament season starts, I think the OVC is always the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of conference tournament week. They're all the big conferences start Thursday, except for the 14 and 15 seeds. A Georgia will play Vandy on Tuesday night, but nobody cares about that. The OVC. Right. That's why I was trying to think 2 teams. I was like, that's perfect. But the OVC is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And just I always remember or I think it's Saturday night or something like that. I kind of always forget about it. But it's always a must-see match. Belmont Murray is always just a great game. And I remember 2 years ago when Ja played, or 3 years ago, that conference championship game was insane. That was to the point where they were calling for Belmont to get an at-large bid because, they got robbed of one game. They shouldn't have made the tournament. So, OVC is very fun to watch. They're not my favorite conference. I have a soft spot for two conferences, and I have no connection to either of them. One is the Summit League. I fucking love the Summit League. I don't know why, but I just remember a couple years back, same things, watching conference tournaments, and I got hooked. It was Oral Roberts, South Dakota, North Dakota State, South Dakota State. I was like, all right, I'm in on these teams. So I like the Summit League, and I like the Missouri Valley. So Belmont's going to the Missouri Valley, so it's nice to see. I love Loyola Chicago. I love Indiana State. I love Bradley. I love teams like that. So Arch Madness is always fun to watch. So that's where I'm at. That's my mid-major section of the week. So, I wish the Horizon League was good because Pat Baldwin plays for a terrible team. NKU is trash. Wright State's bad, but Oakland's very good, and I like
Oakland. Is very good.
I like really, Oakland.
Yeah, the Greg Campies of the world, man. That's my guy.
I remember I was like 14 when I found out they were in Michigan, and I was like, everything changed in my life. I was like, what is going on?
I love during their warm-ups, they wear the Indiana style stretched striped pants, but it's in their team colors. Mm-hmm. So I like that a lot. Definitely respect that from them. Yeah, man. So real quick on Belmont, so people know, right now, if you look at a lot of bracketologies, these two teams are, both these teams are currently in situations where they are showing up on a lot of brackets. So Belmont obviously has some good wins this year. Teams like St. Louis from the Atlantic 10 should have beat Dayton. And so, they're a team to kind of keep an eye on. So, yeah, man, I'm excited for this. I actually like the OVC. So I'm excited to see how things shake out for them. Yeah, the A10, I don't know what's going to happen with them this year. You talked about conferences they have an affiliation for. Davison's really good. VCU is coming up for Dayton. That's a weird matchup.
Yeah, I had VCU last night. I had VCU last night, and they were up 6 with 2.5 minutes left, and they lose 63-61. So I don't know what the hell happened. I turned the game off thinking I had a winner, and oops. But yes, St. Bonaventure is a mystery for me as well. They have 5 guys They have 5 guys who can play. Their bench is atrocious. They have no bench. Kyle Lofton was from Tennessee. Kyle Lofton from St. Bonaventure. Very good player. Got to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, I think. Okay, why the hell did Ohio State play IUPUI last night?
In the middle of conference with a weird scheduling mishap.
Yeah, that is a strange one. All right, real quick, I know you touched on a few things before we get to our All-Americans. Baylor obviously has a bounce-back win, and the other last night against West Virginia at West Virginia.
Yep.
So big game there. Obviously guys like LJ Cryer with 25 points was really nice. Another fantastic game from Matthew Mayer for 20 points, and then off the bench you get a nice game from. I always get this guy's name wrong. Jonathan Chiwama Tachua. Did I say that right?
Yeah, of course. I think Baylor is slept on. I think their 2 home losses last week. The Oklahoma State loss is bad. I don't think the Oklahoma State, barring they can't make the tournament anyway. Correct, but they can't make the NCAA tournament anyway this year. But that's a bad loss. Texas Tech. I mean, that was a hell of a week for Texas Tech. You win at home against Kansas, and then you win at Baylor. I love Kyler Edwards. Not Kyler Edwards. Is that right? I'm drawing a blank now.
There's too many damn players in college basketball. We got to remember all these names.
They have Kevin O'Banner from Oral Roberts, Terrence Shannon. Sorry, Marco Santos Silva. He's still there. But I think this team is phenomenal. I think offensively, offensively, that was their biggest struggle this year. Was like, are they going to be able to score the ball? They lose Chris Beard, but they're going to be able to run a nice offense because the defense principles have been with Texas Tech forever. But I think this team is great. I love what they're doing. Big wins. I mean, look, they beat Iowa State 72-60 last night. Lose to Kansas State Saturday in a bad spot. That's a tough loss. But if you would have told Texas Tech fans that you would have beat Kansas, beat Baylor, beat Oklahoma State, beat Iowa State, and lose to Kansas State, you'll take it. You'll take 4 of those wins in the Big 12, as tough as it is. So, I don't. If you're a Baylor fan, I don't think you worry. You're number 2 in KenPom. 2 back-to-back losses, but you just took care of business at West Virginia in a hostile environment. You got Oklahoma this Saturday, another team that's kind of needing the win, so it's going to be a great matchup. I think the Big 12 is phenomenal. I think it's the best conference in basketball. I think the SEC has the most talent in Kentucky, Auburn, Alabama, Arkansas, teams like that. But I think the Big 12 as a whole is a much better conference.
Yeah, I agree. Talking on that, Texas obviously loses to Kansas State last night. They were 10.5-point favorites and lost. Marcus Carr scored 25 points, and it's not enough.
Sorry. Shout out my dog Maverick. Sorry.
That's all right. So Texas obviously takes one on the head there at home. At that, not very good, Bob.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. They don't run. They don't run and gun. They play this slow, methodical offensive game that is frustrating to watch. And all the talent in the world. They have Andrew Jones, Courtney Ramey, Trey Mitchell, Christian Bishop, Dylan Disu, Devin Askew, which I don't have talent in the word Devin Askew should be together. But I like the pieces of Texas, and I don't know if Chris Beard just hasn't got his guys in there. It was kind of a last minute, throw it all together and hope it sticks at the wall effort for his coaching style. But I think this team still kind of has potential. Are they a top 10 team like we thought they'd be? No. But I still think they're going to make the tournament. Everybody's selling the Chris Beard stock. I'll continue to buy it because I still think he's a good enough coach to figure it out with that level roster. But it could be kind of what we talked about a couple weeks ago as well, where it's you have a lot of guys who just aren't used to winning. Some of this shit just happens, man. It's just I wouldn't say it's selfish. I wouldn't say it's a bad mentality. It's just a cultural change that needs to make a change. But for some reason, it's just not sticking together.
Yeah, I agree. That's this is a foundation year. So anything, and they obviously are winning more than some people thought. We thought they'd be better. They'll be a tournament team, but yeah, next year I think it's kind of the year we go, okay, let's see what he can do here, and I think he'll do really well. I'm with you. Give me all the Chris Beard stock, especially when they go to the SEC.
Yeah, they play. I mean, look at their schedule now, right? They play Oklahoma State this Saturday. That's a perfect spot to get a win. The following week they play TCU, and then next Saturday, so we get Kansas, Kentucky at the same day, and we get Tennessee, Texas.
It's fun.
Big 12. So they have a couple chances, but they have a murderer's row stretch right after that. So they go Oklahoma State, TCU, 2 must-win games. I'm calling it now for them. They have to win those. Then they go Tennessee, Texas Tech, at Texas Tech, which is going to be a crazy environment because they're going to boo the shit out of Chris Beard. So Tennessee at home, at Texas Tech, home against Iowa State, home against Kansas, at Baylor. That's a murderer's row of the schedule. But that's kind of what Chris Beard signed up for.
Yeah. LSU does not have so much of an issue the rest of the way. After Saturday, Texas A&M, TCU, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Georgia.
They've kind of got all their big games out of the way early. So
yeah, they go to Lexington for that Kentucky game, and that's really the last tough game they'll have.
A Wednesday night. That's so weird too. That should be.
I hate that. Game. I hate 9:00 tips. Look, on behalf of BDM members everywhere, 9:00 tips are never a good idea.
Right.
I understand national TV, but stop it.
Right.
Please.
Right. We got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a couple of teams I want to talk about. Just kind of Alabama's a team that I'm kind of wondering about. Tonight's a good matchup for them. They do play LSU tonight. The status of Xavier Pinson as of 5:55 is still unknown. I think I would like to see him play because I want an Alabama. I want an LSU squad at full strength going against Alabama to kind of help me determine, okay, who is the third best team in the SEC. Looking at their schedule, I mean, they're unranked, but at the moment, but they're still 16 in KenPom. Losers of 3 straight. The Missouri loss at Missouri, 92-86, isn't great. They lose at home to Auburn, where a game that they really kind of weren't really in. The final score is 4, but Auburn was up 10 to 12 points most of the game. And then they lost at Mississippi State, a team that's probably a tournament team. Iverson Molinar, Garrison Brooks, guys like that. It's a good team. The panic button wouldn't be out if I'm an Alabama fan. If they lose tonight at home against LSU, then we're a little bit worried. Now, where I'm judging that is they're still going to make the tournament. I'm not worried about that. But the elite status that you thought you were at might not be where you're at currently. So,
yeah, I agree. I still laugh that they lost to Iona. Rick Pitino always finds a way.
Yeah.
I love that while we're in the season, Rick Pitino is tweeting about who he thinks can win the title while he's coaching a team during the season.
Did you see he added Iona in there?
Yeah, he was like, did you see I threw one in there?
Yeah, it's like Duke, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Purdue, Villanova, Gonzaga, Iona. I'm like, whoa, I saw that. So, Rookie P's the best.
Yes. I think he just loves life at Iona. I think he's like, we go to the tournament every year. Life's fine.
a big win last night against Monmouth. They're 7-0 in the MAC or the MAAC. It lost to St. Louis 68-67, lost to Kansas 96-83, lost to Belmont 72-65, but it beat Yale, Alabama, Harvard, and then run the table in their conference as of right now. So hopefully to see them back in the tournament. They were 15 seed last year. Hopefully they'll probably be a 13 or 14 seed this year. I mean, if they continue this run in the MAC.
Can you bring back the Patino Press during the off season? That was such a great podcast. By great, it was terrible, but it was so enjoyable.
He's the best. Get him in front of a microphone. He probably does his own podcast every day and just doesn't hit record. Yeah. Just on his car ride into the city, he's probably just like 45 minutes of Rick's thoughts, which it's probably a good thing. Yeah, probably a good thing we can't hear that. So, yeah, man. I think the only couple teams I want to talk about. I'm looking at KenPom right now. We'll play a higher or lower game. I think we did that last week with Georgia, so I don't want to. I was going to do it with Louisville at that 103, but a team that I'm surprised is higher. Iowa State's got to be the surprise of the year, right? Winless in conference last year. Otzelberger comes in, they're just 14-4, 2-4 in the Big 12, which is kind of crazy. We did talk about that I think they were going to hit a wall once they got into Big 12 play, and it kind of looks like it's gone through. But they beat Texas at home, beat Texas Tech at home as well. They just lost to Texas Tech last night, but I think this team is good enough, and the foundation pieces for upcoming years is really fun to watch. If they had a Rasir Bolton from Gonzaga still, I think this team could be really, really good. So, yeah, they beat Xavier. I mean, they keep winning. I help Xavier's loss, right? You know what I mean? So,
yeah, exactly. That's why I'm keeping an eye on the Iowa State. Right. And I'm trying to make sure the Chicago Bulls don't hire another one of their guys to be our head coach. Twice is enough.
Fred,
Tim Floyd.
Oh yeah, Tim Floyd. Jesus, what a mess. Last thing I want to talk about before we get to All Americans of the week. I want to talk about Xavier. Big win Saturday. Obviously, I was not watching. I was pre-gaming for the Bengals game. Yeah, you were there. So kind of fill me in after a bounce back spot after losing, 2 out of 3 games to Villanova back to back, basically. Kind of what did you see in the not a must win game, but a game to rewrite the ship for Xavier?
First off, I think they ran out of time against Villanova because the run that they made at the end of the game, they were awesome. Mm-hmm. They were awesome the last 8 minutes. And they made it a game. They tied it up, and then just made some not fantastic decisions down the stretch. And you can't make mistakes against Jay Wright in a close game because they'll find a way. God, man, watching Ryan Gillespie. Ryan Archidiakono. Colin Gillespie. Right. That's his name. Yes. They just bring in the same guy and change his name every time. Watching him come off of like handoffs and ball screens and shoot is really irritating because you're like, how does he hit everything? So that's my Villanova analysis of the week. They're awesome and are a team that are hitting their stride at the best time possible.
Right,
go ahead.
Sorry, the panic button was out. They lose 57-36 to Baylor, who we didn't know Baylor was we knew Baylor was good, but we didn't think they were number 1 team in the country.
They scored 93 points against Xavier the next game.
Yeah, and then they lose 79-59 to Creighton, and then score 71-58 at home against Xavier. And then ever since then, it's been 6-point win against Seton Hall. They beat Creighton 75-41. They beat DePaul by 15. They beat Xavier by 4. And they beat Butler 82-42. So they are rolling. It's a classic what Roy Williams used to say, everything looks better when the ball goes in the basket. And Xavier's kind of hitting their stride now. They struggled as a team, so now they're in fuego from 3. But, yes, I'm still high on this Xavier team. I think tonight's game will be really, really fun to watch. Javon Freeman, Liberty. I think DePaul is a team that, nobody wants to play just because they play hard from the start, from the tip to the end of the whistle. I don't think they can create, matchup issues for Xavier. But I think they play hard enough that's going to cause Xavier to keep it in their A game going at all times. Because if they let off the gas a little bit, DePaul's a team that can kind of make a run. But yeah, a year that we came in talking about how Travis Steele was in on the hot seat. He's got a lot of talent. Has to win. He's done a good job solidifying himself as a good coach. I've been really happy with his adjustments and stuff in game. Late game Villanova, there's some moments that I'm okay, we should have done some things a little bit different here. And we texted about this and kind of want to get your thoughts. The 5th year COVID year, right? Paul Scruggs has been tremendous for Xavier, 4-0 against Cincinnati or 5-0? 5-0 against Cincinnati? 4-1, sorry. 4-1 against Cincinnati. had beat Butler at Butler, dominated, Indianapolis kid, done great things for Xavier this year. That dunk on Liddell was gross. I still think about that. But you look at him and you say, if we didn't have him, would that be the emergence of Colby Jones be like, would it be better for Xavier? But like, it's hard to play that devil's advocate, but I still think Xavier's in a good spot. I love Colby Jones. I think he's the best player on Xavier. I just wish we got to see a little bit more of his skill set, but I understand what Steele's doing with Paul because you got to ride with the guys that got you there. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you bring up good points. Truthfully, I thought Paul really kind of made the most mistakes on the stretch that cost him the Villanova game. That's, and I get it. He's used to having the ball in his hands in those circumstances, but there were plenty of circumstances where he attacked the rim and would have like Nate Johnson in the corner or Adam Kunkel in the corner, and he would just try to get a layup in. And, that ended up burning him down the stretch. He hasn't been super efficient scoring, but I do think, his senior leadership is obviously something that they respond really well to. It's kind of crazy. We spent all this, all the offseason with Xavier talking about Scruggs and Fremantle and how they're going to be the guys. And it's been Colby Jones, Nate Johnson, Jack Nungy, and Adam Kunkel, who's kind of kept them flying. Kunkel is, man, there isn't a shot that he doesn't like, but when he is on, it is a blast to watch.
And that's what I think makes Xavier so dangerous. And I was listening to Jeff Goodman and Steve Prom, the old Iowa State coach and Murray State coach. He talked about Xavier as like a dark horse to win the national title, and like that is the reason why, is because you're getting efficient nights from Adam and Nate and Nungy, and you're not getting the level of play you thought you were getting from Fremantle. And he's a guy that if he turns it on and becomes this double machine that like he was, like good luck, because you can trap him in the middle. He's kicking it out to two guys that are neon like hot shooters, and Kunkel and Johnson. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on Xavier. I didn't want it to be, and I know we are a Cincinnati-based podcast, and we do cover, Xavier and KU and UC, and we want to, kind of touch base on all of our teams. And I don't want it to be too homerish, but when you have a team like Xavier who's as hot and as good as they are, like we have to talk about them. And right now they're 18th in KenPom. I don't know where they came in at the latest AP poll. I don't remember seeing that.
20th.
Okay, 20th. So that's right about right. But big matchup tonight. They go DePaul at DePaul at Marquette, so a big weekend for them. And then Providence, Creighton, Butler, DePaul. So the end of the year kind of gets a little bit, the middle of the year.
Providence is going to be fun next week. That's going to be fun. Anytime OLED comes to town, I'm excited.
Yeah, and they go at Seton Hall will be a good game. Connecticut at home will be a good game. And then they go at Connecticut, at Providence, at Seton Hall, at St. John's to kind of end the year. So kind of a big stretch. And that's kind of what you want, right? Going into the Big East tournament, you want to be tested. So we'll see where this team's at. Something to monitor for our listeners if you're out of the Cincinnati area. Team to definitely check out. If you're in the Cincinnati area, you kind of know about how good they are or have been this year. So
Also, I want to make this mention real quick for all the Cincinnati sports podcasts out there that are like, we cover all Cincinnati sports. Xavier is in Cincinnati. Don't do this bullshit anymore of the Bengals, the Reds, FC Cincinnati, and the Bearcats. But we're at Cincinnati sports. Like, you talk about the things you do and don't want to. We talk about Duke.
Yeah.
We talk about Kentucky.
Right. You cover the good teams. Why would I want to talk about North Carolina right now? I mean, honest to God, why? Like, I don't have the energy to talk about a terrible defensive team and a bad offensive team. So
you did that cool day where you got to go chat. We didn't talk about it, but and Cameron.
Yeah, that's the last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago. So yeah, I was my uncle, my dad, myself. We went to Chapel Hill. We did the North Carolina Virginia game at noon. Carolina won by 25. Armando Bacot 29-21. Monster game. And then 8 hours later, I was in the Cameron Crazies watching Miami beat Duke in person. So it was a lot of fun. Great trip. They don't play the same day often, so we took advantage of that. My uncle's a Duke fan. I'm a Carolina fan, obviously. So it was a very fun trip, something I'll remember for a long time. But yeah, it was a blast. Cameron, I mean, I've said this every time I've talked about it. I've been to Cameron twice now. Best place to watch a basketball game. It's so loud. The environment's awesome. It's rocking. But man, I like the team, but I can respect the venue. So it was a great time. But yeah, I mean, glad to see. It's kind of funny. I've seen them lose now in person, which is always kind of fun to hoot and holler about. But I've seen Duke win 2 national titles in person too. So maybe they have the last laugh on me.
Can we make the case that Miami is the best won the North Carolina state championship because they beat NC State, Wake Forest, Duke, and you guys? They're the best team in North Carolina, right? The Miami Hurricanes of Florida.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. All right. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap this up with our weekly All-Americans. You can go ahead and go first. I do have mine. It's a guy we haven't even mentioned once on this show this week, surprisingly.
Okay. Yeah, I have two. I'm going to give one is from the University of North Carolina. It is because what he did against Virginia and Georgia Tech. So last week, this is my one from last week and the one from this week. Armando Bacot, 29-21 against Virginia, and then 29-18 against Georgia Tech. Just absolute Shaq video game numbers. Unreal performance. I think he's amazing when they get the ball to him in the post. They're really hard to beat, but when our guards stand around the three-point line and hoist up dumb shots, we're very easy to beat, as in last night against Miami. And then number two is a guy that's a National Player of the Year. I think I'm probably taking yours, from the University of Wisconsin.
Oh, you're not taking it. Okay. We're good.
Johnny Davis, 27-8 last night in a game that Wisconsin won 82-76 over Northwestern team that's been pretty feisty in Big Ten play this year. Johnny Davis playing his way into the lottery, a team that I was dead wrong on. We thought they'd be bad. Wrong. Made fun of Chris Vogt going there. He's kind of fit in nicely for them. Dare I say it? But Johnny Davis is every time he's on the court, he's the best player on the court. So very pleased with him. He's my All-American of the week. Armando Bacot and Johnny Davis.
Cool. I like it. So I am going through some of the Big East, but like I said, we haven't mentioned this gentleman yet. But in Big East play, he is averaging about 16 points a game and about 4.5 assists a game. That is Connecticut's RJ Cole. He has been on a scoring stretch. So since Big East play started, when they played Providence on December 18th, he's not had a single game he scored less than 15 points. This week against St. John's, he had 19 points and 8 assists, and then turned around against Butler, had 17 points and 6 rebounds. We don't talk enough about UConn. They're a really good basketball team. Like I said, Xavier still got to play them twice, so we'll get to see them a couple times. And Dan Hurley has something working there.
He's psyching on the sideline.
Yes, he is. But this UConn team, between guys like Cook, RJ Cole, kind of leading the way, they're pretty awesome. So I am excited to see what he brings. They have Georgetown next. They got Butler tomorrow and Georgetown next week. But they don't have a tough game really till February 5th. They go to Villanova.
Yeah, I think they're sneaky good. They beat Auburn this year. People forget that double overtime game in the battle for Atlantis. Hurley's a great coach. Crazy, takes charges on the sideline, loses his mind, sweats his ass off. But guy's a good coach, and RJ Cole is definitely the reason why they've been doing well this year in the Big East. So don't look now. Big East might be the second or third best conference in basketball. I mean, yeah, I think they're better than the Big Ten.
Yeah. Maybe next week we'll go through and we'll do our how many teams do we think are in the tournament right now?
All right, we'll do we'll call it February or January bracketology.
Yes.
Right,
yes. I
cool.
like it. Perfect. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. We had a lot of fun putting it together. Thanks for everyone for tuning in as always. We will be back here next week, hopefully with some more fun news. I can't wait to recap the Kentucky Auburn game because that game is going to be tremendous. Have a good night, everyone. Take it easy.
Peace.